All right. Gonna do something a little different today. We're gonna do what I'm gonna call analysis on Siege 12. I did. I know the tank and I know the hunter, but I don't know the healer and the shaman. So a little bit of a bug, but I'm just gonna try and be a little critical of myself, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. Um, First poll, I'm pretty much the first thing I'm gonna do after I get my Death Stalker out with an ambush is hit evasion. And that's kind of true for every poll, or at the first poll of every dungeon this late in the season. Everybody's doing big polls. Everybody wants to get lust on cooldown. So they're often very dangerous. Almost just died there. So I find it like I just hit the defensive right away because I'm also hitting my offensive cooldowns and I don't want to die during those because I want to be doing big damage and there's nothing worse than hitting Deathmark and Kingsbane and then immediately falling on the ground. One thing I want to call out why I took so much damage there is the Enforcer did his Bellow, and I hit Cloak of Shadows, which does nothing against Bellow because it's all physical damage. So if I had just thrown out a Feint there, I would have been totally fine, but something to learn or something to do better next time is Cloak of Shadows isn't going to help you. You can also line of sight it, which I'm going to show off on this next pull. Watching my Deathstalker debuff here, because the tank said he needed a minute to get his defensive back, and because it's about to run out, like I have 10 seconds left, instead of my usual, which I'm going to pause it here, normally what I would do when I'm at full combo points going into a pack, is I would rupture to get full scent of blood, then I would mutilate to get caustic spatter up, and then garrote for iron wire, get max combo points and send it. But that's way too many globals. I don't have time for that. So instead, what I do here is I just send the Envenom after that first round of ruptures to make sure I don't lose the Deathstalker debuff. The Deathstalker debuff is really important. The amount of caustic spatter damage that's going to splash onto other targets is going to be a big part of your damage profile. So you want to make sure that debuff is active at all times. Too much talking there, so I missed it, but line of sighted the Bellow that time, so I didn't need to use any kind of defensive to mitigate it. You can also line of sight the pull-in from these raiders, but I don't have anything to track it. So that's probably something I should get. Here we're going to use Shroud to skip some packs. So if you're ever in a pug and they're like, hey, Rogue, hit Shroud, just be aware you might have to do it here. And then we go all the way through, so we don't do any trash in this room. We're in another situation where Deathstalker's about to fall off. So this time I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get my Rupture out and then also the Envenom. So what you can do in this situation, which I do here, is I just ambush my priority target to refresh that buff. And then I can go into my Ruptures to get my Scent of Blood, and I don't have to worry about the debuff falling off. I don't have to spend a Vanish to reapply it. I can just reapply it at the start of the fight, and then that way I'm not in like panic mode trying to get it back on anything. Yeah, so I mentioned Iron Wire a little bit when I was explaining some of the rotation, but if you follow a lot of like rogue content, or if you're in the Assassination Rogue Discord a lot, a pretty frequent question is like, why does the Wowhead build recommend Iron Wire? I followed #1 rogue in the world, checked his logs, and he doesn't run it. And the answer is pretty simple. Like, you don't have to run Iron Wire, but the reason rogues at the very top aren't running Iron Wire is kind of, in my opinion, like a result of the meta. So a lot of meta comps pushing high keys, that is, are either going to have an Augvoker or either an Enhancement Shaman or an Ally Shaman, right? And why is that important? Well, both of those classes have a lot of AoE stops. Shaman has Capacitor Totem. Augmentation Voger has a Knockup. It has Oppressing Roar. It has its Flyover Stun. So in coordinated groups, they already know every single stop they're going to be putting out. So the rogue can sacrifice a very, very strong utility talent for what is like a slightly increased DPS talent, usually for single target to help him with bosses and stuff. But unless you're in that upper echelon of keys, you should be running Iron Wire. It's just so much value that you're getting added to your keys. Like, not only are you getting the silence and saving yourself some kicks, but some of like the more subtle benefits are when you silence a caster, it's going to follow the tank. And so that's going to help group up the mobs, especially at the start of a pull or when you're chain pulling two packs together. Having those mobs silenced as you walk between the packs is going to actually help your damage a lot because all the mobs are going to be grouped up and in the range of your caustic spatter. So like it's not, and obviously the silence is good, right? Like you're saving kicks, you're allowing DPS to focus on DPS. They don't have to miss kicks. You're helping the healer because the healer doesn't have to heal web bolts that go off. And so it's just really one of the strongest utility talents, honestly, in the game. So yes, you will get flamed in the Assassination Rogue Discord if you suggest dropping Iron Wire, and it's for a pretty good reason. Basically, if you're asking that question in the Discord, you know, it's probably a sign that you shouldn't be dropping it. The top tier players that are dropping it are doing it very intentionally. Talk through that whole boss. We handled that pretty well. The only thing to call out kind of retroactively, well, first I want to talk about going into this pull. I have full combo points, so that's going to change your AoE opener a little bit. I've talked about it. Instead of starting with Garrotes, you're going to start with 2 Ruptures, which is immediately going to put you into max Sign of Blood stacks. Then you should Mutilate to get your Caustic Spatter on your priority target, and then Garrote to build combo points to full and send this Darkest Night Deathstalker debuff. And that's like the ideal opener. And then after that, your Fan of Knivesing, your Crimson Tempesting if it's not up, and then otherwise you're going back into Fan of Knives spam and Venom spam. So you Fan of Knives, get over 5 combo points, and Venom. Fan of Knives, get over 5 combo points, and Venom. And if you ever run into a situation where your Caustic Spatter goes down, then you obviously want to throw that Mutilate back in there. The only thing I wanted to call on that boss is be ready to use a Cloak of Shadows to run into a bomb. It's pretty common in pugs, or just in general, like the boss spawns the bombs in such a way that you can't run them in to 3 bombs every time. So you need to be ready to use an immunity there to kind of swallow that last bomb and save the group from a wipe. Here we're sending our cooldowns because they're up. I think another thing that people maybe make a mistake of when they're running pugs is kind of holding on to cooldowns in preparation for a big pull that may or may not ever come. Really, you just, like, if you're sending on cooldown, you're just getting so much more value, especially when you don't know the route, than if you're like trying to time it for the perfect pack. I think there's going to be a good example here where I kind of save a Kingsbane and I just completely missed the Kingsbane window with the way the trash pulls worked out. Oh, I don't risk it here anymore. I've died one too many times. It's just like I'm just chilling. All right, this is excessive. Maybe I got a text message from my mother that I had to respond to. Nothing scary about this mob. You can't slow this mob, you can't stun this mob, and it just runs away in whatever direction it sees fit. But this is what I was talking about with the Kingsbane. Kingsbane is up, and I'm saving it. And it's kind of because in my mind, I know there's a horsey dude coming up, but I should be sending the Kingsbane here. But this, and the reason is because the way we routed this is we're going to pull this trash up at the top 2. And so in my mind, a lot of my pugs just go straight to the big horsey man, which is why I held it. But this is just a perfect example of like, I could have been getting I could get another Kingsbane out. Like Deathmark's about to be off cooldown. That's 2 minutes. Kingsbane's 1 minute. And so I went through an entire Deathmark cooldown without using Kingsbane. So that's just something I could improve for next time. Nothing crazy here. Just throwing out some bleeds on those guys.
Nice. My pet's a beast.
Going into this pull. I think I vanished there offensively because the mobs on the boat had gotten me out of stealth and I didn't get the re-stealth. So, and this is a priority target, right? Like I want to do a lot of damage to this commander. I'm sending my cooldowns. Scent of Blood stacks are really good. We feint that charge from the commander. Pretty much anytime you get targeted with that, send at least a feint. Get hit with another one here. Feinting again. I mean, feint is probably the most broken defensive in the game. Like I'm running the talent. I don't run Cheat Death. I run the other talent because it makes feint stronger, which I think is really strong in key situations like this, especially like this late in the season. Like we know the dungeon so well. We know the damage profile. We know when we're taking hits. Like you get so much value out of feint. It's kind of insane. Like again, like if you think there's a better defensive than feint in the game, like leave a comment because let me tell you why this is like the most busted defensive in the game. It's 15 seconds recharge. It's 2 charges. You can use it off the GCD, so you don't even have to waste DPS to hit it. And its only cost is energy, but in AoE situations, Assassination Rogue is never hungry for energy. When you have 5 ruptures out, you are capped on energy. It's literally, it's never going to be a problem. So Feint is basically a free button, and the DR, like I'll put it up on screen, I think is like 40%. Like it is so strong. So, and you can literally use it for every and any mechanic, and you're going to get value out of it. I think the only case it doesn't provide value is on like a bleed and a single target dot, maybe.
I wonder if I could, like,
It's just really good.
if it's, like,
Again, like if I would love to hear if there's a defensive as strong as Feint, but that, yeah, I just don't think it exists. Anyways, saving my cooldowns here, which is questionable. I think I was worried that she was going to do exactly this, where she jumps back on the boat. Not going to send it on these ads here. I do send Vanish, though, to get my bleeds out, to get my Scent of Blood out. And then we're focusing the cannon here because it has the most health. Basically, you're just trying to get out of this phase as quickly as possible. As soon as she comes down, though, I'll be sending this Deathmark in the Kingsbane, no problem.
fastest hands in the West.
So we're going to get our bleed up because we want that before we send Deathmark. We're probably... Oh, we didn't Envenom there. We could have Envenom there for like min-maxy stuff. But again, she's going to go on the boat one more time. I wanted to make sure I got full use out of this. We Cloak of Shadows, the Fiery Ricochet. It's kind of fun doing this live because there's so much going on at any given moment that it's almost hard to cover, right? Like I'm sending my full cooldown, but also Fiery Ricochet hits, so I have to hit Cloak of Shadows. This one I Evasion and Feint. Again, just trying to make my healer's life easier, right? That's the goal. If they're happy, we're happy. We get out our Ruptures here, and then we get our Caustic Spatter onto the Cannoneer. Don't have Vanish this time. Fun little fact, there's an invisible wall there, so be careful when you're running away. It doesn't have quite as much room as you think it does. Fun little tip, you can aim this cannon anywhere. I tried it in like a low key. You can literally aim it backwards and you'll still get her off the boat. So don't be afraid to pick that up if you've never done it before. Here we send the Kingsbane. We're shivving with 8 seconds left on our cooldown. That's good. We almost die there, and we don't have health potion on our bars because I had Cave Dweller's Delight on my
That's what I
bar,
was wondering with bandage.
which is like the free world quest version of health potions. It's basically like the dollar store of health potions. Although health pots have gotten a lot more affordable. Yeah, I think if you're going into 12s, I think the requirements are you need health potions and you need combat potions. And so health potions are nice because they do not share a cooldown with combat potions. So you can use either or. I mean, you can use both and you don't have to worry about it. As far as pot usage goes, I just have it macroed with my death mark. You know, I'm not trying to min max on the packs. Like if I'm sending my death mark, I feel pretty confident I'm gonna get full value out of a potion, right? So
Oh, I fucking stunned myself.
obviously it was on cooldown from the boss fight, but we send death mark here into the demolisher. AoE blind there, that was good to help get another stop. We shadow step to try and kick this. Almost die. Pop evasion in a panic. Yeah, I'm definitely feel like I've lost my Deathstalker talent here and we're kind of panicking, just trying to get stops out.
Big boy damage. Good job.
But that's okay. We're in a pretty good group.
Yeah. This is,
Here we're just trying to avoid the pat, so there's a little bit of downtime.
I think you just really
Healer's a pug, so
hard.
sends the sprint because she doesn't know what we're
Go all the
doing,
way back.
or he. Again, we're in a situation here where Deathstalker's falling off, right? So let's see what we're doing.
Why is
I
that?
think this is a good time to bring up like what I track. So if I had to put a priority order on things you should be tracking as an assassination rogue right now, I think I would put Deathstalker number 1 if you're running that hero talent. It's really important to know when your Darkest Night debuff is up and what target it's on. And then I would probably say Caustic Spatter's number 2. You want Caustic Spatter up at all times. Like I'm doing a really bad job with my Caustic Spatter uptime here. And I'm also not hitting into my Darkest Night target. All right, there we found it again because a mob died. Like even then I like tab targeted off it immediately. So doing a bad job. But anyways, so yeah, tracking Deathstalker's number 1, Caustic Spatter's number 2. In keys, I would say I like Scent of Blood number 3. Once you get used to the rotation, it's kind of like I'm just gonna rupture everything once per pull usually, and I don't have to reapply it. So it's not like the end of the world if you're not tracking it. I track my Envenom debuff, which is more important in bosses when you're kind of in an energy starved situation and you want to just be maintaining that buff to kind of help your energy flow. It's not as important in AoE when you're just spamming every ability you can on GCD. We evasion and feint that splash damage right there. And then I also vanished into that fight because the way we pulled it, I had lost my Garrotes. I had lost my Indiscriminate Carnage because we pulled that mob in. There's like the single monkey hanging on a tree and we pulled it into the big group. So again, another good offensive vanish use. Purely get my Scent of Blood stacks out so I can help my priority damage into the big troll. And then the last thing, just to finish off that point, is Slice and Dice. I don't think I need to track this anymore. I should take this off my weak aura. It gets applied automatically. There's literally nothing you're changing about your gameplay outside of like the opener when you start a fight fresh
Too many bananas.
to worry about. And that's only really applies to single target like raid bosses. So I will be dropping Slice of Dice tracking from my weak aura after watching this. All right, we got Kingsbane up. Let's see if we use it in the next pull. Here's another Shroud that we're going to do. These mobs are just annoying. If you get unlucky, they can really kill somebody. So I like this Shroud a lot. I like this route in general. All right, so we reapplied Deathstalker there. Don't think that was necessary, but not the end of the world. Just one global. We sent the Kingsbane. A little awkward with our Deathmark timing because it's coming off CD right now. We're going to feint this. Like I said, feint's OP. But yeah, this is probably one of the more boring pulls in this place. Ooh, just getting hit with all the stuff. I tried to Crimson Tempest or Crimson Vial there, but I didn't have it up. That's funny. The other thing to call out here is I set my focus target going into the pull. So the commander's the priority target here, but the wave shaper's the caster. And so the nice thing about setting the focus macro, and I've talked about this before, is especially with the way rogue damage works in Kingbane, right? It's like whatever damage you put into that priority target is one, going to make your Kingsbane bigger, and two, it's going to make your splash bigger because Caustic Spatter is going to be going off. And so if without the focus macro, you're going to have to either tab target or click on the mob that's casting to kick it. Where if you look down here on my bars, I have a focus kick, and all I have to do is hit that hotkey, and I'm going to kick whoever my focus target is as long as they're in range. So here's another example. We set it up. We didn't change targets, but we got that wave shaper kick without switching targets. And it's just really good, especially on Assassination Rogue, where your priority target damage is so important, and kind of what makes you so valuable is how good your single target damage is in AoE situations, because so many dungeons have like a dangerous mob or a mob with a lot of health that it's just valuable to get through the pack faster to have someone burning that mob down. This boss, honestly, I don't think is very spooky. You want to feint or Cloak of Shadows every single one of these wave drops, and the damage is delayed. So as soon as you see the swirlies, you're safe to hit feint, and it'll cover the full duration. Gonna dodge the waves. Nothing crazy here. I think this is like a good example of where I kind of get energy starved. Trying to move the breakwater out of the way of the pillars there. We feinted it, so again, just helping her out here a little bit. And we'll see if I start pulling here. So yeah, here we go. In that situation, all I was doing was watching my Envenom buff. And soon as it was about to fall off, I reapplied it. Sending the cooldown, so now we don't care. We're spending as much energy as we can the whole time. Shivving with 8 seconds left. Here, I can use Vanish offensively on a boss fight because there's no like packs or trash mobs that we're going to be pulling anytime soon where I'm going to be like, damn, I wish I had Vanish. So that's why I used it offensively to take advantage of the Master Assassin talent as part of my burst. Here we're super energy starved. This happens a lot in keys, single target. I think I just need to do a better job of pooling. But like, I would say to be expected that you're going to be energy starved in single target, especially running an M+ talent build where you don't have blindside proccing free ambushes for you. Almost done here. Man, it is crazy how long bosses live on higher keys. Just absolutely wild. What is this, my 4th Kingsbane? Like, come on. Get him. Again, we're just watching our Deathstalker debuff. Anytime we're over 5 combo points, we're sending the Venom. As soon as Darkest Night is up, we're waiting till we're max combo points, and we're sending the big Venom. That was a good job there. Pretty clean Siege 12 so far. Ton of time on the timer. I am never the first one down the hill here. I let the youths do that. I'm too old for this. I don't have the reaction time. That's a young man's game.
Cautiously now.
All right, so we're gonna have to ambush here because Darkest Night or Deathstalker's fallen off. We called out in comms. I said I was gonna take the left side here. Basically, you just want to be spread out. Should be used to this by now. Sending our full DPS rotation. That rupture was pretty bad. I should have set the Envenom there. We had the Darkest Night up. I could do that better. Here, if I get hit with any of the debuffs, I'm a dwarf. I'm gonna stone form it, and I'm not gonna like. I'm gonna send it right away. I think another kind of trap people can fall into is not hitting their buttons because they want to kind of like wait for the optimal time to use it. And in my opinion, it's just better to use it right away and get value out of it, right? Like, if I assume my healer is going to get the first dispel on me and I save stone form, like, there's a chance he doesn't get the first dispel on me and then I have to use it anyways. I don't know. I just feel like that happens a lot with, like, offensive CDs too. Like, my point earlier is, like, people hold it waiting for the perfect pull. But I think just bang for your buck, you're better off sending things right away. Let's see how we do here on the feints. I should be feinting almost all of these slams here. So did not feint that one. Shame. We did Crimson Vial though, so trying to recover from our mistake a little bit. Again, we should probably consider pooling in these situations. I'm kind of just spending it. We did send the feint there. Boom, right there. Ran out of the group, immediately stone formed myself. Feint that one too, so good defensive usage. We still have evasion, we still have Cloak of Shadows. I will say I do like saving. I'm just going to go counter to what I was just saying, but my bigger CDs, because feint is so strong, and I think that's a key differentiator. Excuse me. Is I like to save those because as healer cooldowns, as the fight goes on, you know, there's less cooldowns for the group from the healer. There's less cooldowns. Like if you had a warrior, you know, you might be shouting something. If you had an Ogbroker, you might be Zephyring. So I like to hold those if I can, if I know I got feints up. And I'm going to be able to get away with that. Cloak of Shadows obviously here is really good. If I get hit with another of the circle debuffs, I'm going to cloak it because my stone form I had it is on cooldown because I had to use it for that last one. Stop here because I want the tank to get there first. And I also don't want to be walking overlap with him. So see, right there we Cloak of Shadows. And then we should probably... Ooh, yeah. See, we should have health potion there. The healer was obviously back covering off for the cannon shooter, and we had a lot of time to react there. You know, I think I got a little overconfident because I had Cloak of Shadows going that I was going to be safe from whatever was about to hit me, and that was not true. Pop evasion there for that debuff, and now we're out of buttons. So at this point, I'm looking at my bars and seeing if I have health potion up, and I do. So if I were to get hit by another one of those, I'm going to be like real ready to hit health potion. And I get dispelled there, so I don't need it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the key. Let me know what you think of this format. A little different than my last one. But I'll just let this play out, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. Peace.
The initial burst and then not, everything about it.
It's just crazy.
Yay, good work, team.
Ain't over yet.
Clean.
He's gotta hit that cannon.
Wacky once entered this, shot it, missed and left. It's great. Good job.
Save me, healer. Save me.